Hello there, you're tuned into 7Edition. I'm Shafiqa Razali and these are your headlines. Abolition of BIPK to only affect civil servants appointed in 2020. 1.3 billion Catholics around the world celebrate Christmas today. But typhoon turns festive season into chaos for millions in the central Philippines. After several questions were raised on social media over the decision to abolish the Critical Service Incentive Payment BIPK last Friday, the Public Service Department JPA explained that only civil servants appointed from January 1st will be affected. In a statement, the JPA explained that those who have been receiving the BIPK would not be affected and would continue to enjoy the critical allowance until they leave the service. The repeal of the 750 ringgit monthly allowance is expected to affect various jobs next year, including medical professionals, engineers and architects, among others. The BIPK was introduced by the government in 1992 for jobs that were difficult to fill and had low recruitment. However, in a study conducted this year, it was found that all 33 service schemes allocated with the BIPK allowance no longer fulfill the original criteria for provision of the BIPK, in that candidates for the position are in short supply and there are difficulties in filling the vacancies. Following this, a cabinet committee on civil service chaired by the Prime Minister decided that existing critical allowance recipients would do so, but not new hires. Allowance reviews will be conducted from time to time by the department, with the government considering if there are any service schemes or certain disciplines which fit the criteria to receive the allowance. Since its implementation 27 years ago, only 3 reviews of the BIPK were conducted in 1997, 2001 and 2007. Youth and Sports Minister Syed Saddiq Abdul Rahman, in a Twitter video last night, has expressed his disagreement over the JPA's move to slash critical allowances for professional civil servants and said the government should instead review allowances given to ministers and politicians.
We should not wrong our young doctors and nurses and those in critical services. They are already heavily overworked and underpaid. Sebab itu saya tidak bersetuju dengan perkeliling baru yang dikeluarkan oleh JPA yang membawa kesan kepada banyak anak muda dalam sektor kerajaan.
Syed Saddiq added that as a start, he would be cutting short his annual leave and also return every cent that was granted to him as holiday allowance. He added that he has also reduced 10% of his salary and will ensure others will do the same until this problem is resolved. The critical allowance is one of 9 other allowances that the government would stop paying for, including English proficiency incentives and entertainment allowances for private secretaries. The Selangor Customs Department has foiled an attempt by 3 companies to smuggle in over 112,000 litres of Zam-Zam water, which has been banned from being exported by Saudi Arabia. The prohibited cargo, with over 2.5 million ringgit, was discovered in 5 containers during checks conducted by the department at Westport recently. Putrajaya Customs Assistant Director General of Enforcement, Dato' Abdul Latif Abdul Qadir, said a consignment of 73,710 litres of Zam-Zam water with an estimated value of 1.65 million ringgit was found in 3 containers declared as household goods on December 16. Another consignment of 38,850 litres of Zam-Zam water, falsely declared as food from the Middle East, valued at 874,125 ringgit, was also found in 2 containers on October 7th.
Memang dilarang ekspor secara komersial. Yang mereka benarkan hanya ekspor untuk kegunaan persendirian. Maknanya untuk jemaah haji, jemaah umrah dan sebagainya. Tapi secara komersial, bawa dengan kontena, berpuluh-puluh kontena, tidak diizinkan oleh kerajaan Arab Saudi. Maknanya kalau nak import air Zam-Zam kena ada permit yang dikeluarkan oleh Jabatan Kesihatan.
Initial investigations showed that the modus operandi of all three textile trading companies was similar, and the department did not rule out the possibility of a link between them. In an unrelated case, the department also busted a syndicate involved in the smuggling of alcohol and cigarettes by falsely declaring the items at Port Klang on December 17th and Northport 2 days later. The total seizure, involving 27,209 litres of alcohol in cans and bottles, as well as 9 million sticks of cigarettes, is worth over 4.5 million ringgit in unpaid duty. The department is still on the hunt for the culprits. All the cases are being investigated under the Customs Act and Excise Act. Meanwhile, police seized 25,840 cartons of contraband cigarettes and 5 vehicles worth a total of 4.3 million ringgit in a raid at a house in Tapah Perak on Monday. In the operation, codenamed Ob Asap, authorities also nabbed 2 locals and a Bangladeshi. Bukit Aman Internal Security and Public Order Department Director Datuk Sri Akril Sani Abdullah Sani said the contraband cigarettes were suspected of having fake duty-paid stamps on them. In a statement following the arrest and seizure, he also said the 5 vehicles seized were a Honda Accord, a Mitsubishi Triton, a Honda X5 motorcycle and 2 trucks. All 3 suspects, aged 26 to 47, have been remanded for 7 days starting today for further investigation. In Sabah, despite having different religious beliefs, families still celebrated Christmas together, proving that blood is thicker than water. For Narul Andau from Kampung Telibong, Tamparuli, family bond is more important than anything else, which is why all of his 4 children and their families will never miss returning home for the festive holiday. According to the 70-year-old retiree, Christmas is the time for his family to be joyous and thankful, and nothing can separate the ties shared among his family members, despite the fact that 2 of his children are Muslims. Every time the festive season approaches, his children, who are working and living far from their village, would come back to spend the holiday with the rest of the family.
Walaupun mereka ini beragama lain dengan saya, jadi diorang tiap-tiap tahun datang untuk membantu saya untuk menyediakan perayaan Christmas.
Ya, saya berasa bersyukur sebab diberi peluang lagi untuk merayakan perayaan Christmas ini 2019 bersama keluarga. Walaupun kami berlainan agama, tapi kami bersama-sama menyambutnya dengan meriah sekali.
Saya Narul Andau dari Kampung Telibong, Tamparuli, Negeri Sabah, ingin mengucapkan Merry Christmas dan Happy New Year. Yay!
Meanwhile, the King and Queen were among prominent figures who extended warm wishes to Malaysians celebrating Christmas. In their holiday greetings, they also shared the message of peace and goodwill that is synonymous with every festive celebration in the country. Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah and Raja Permaisuri Agong Tunku Hajah Azizah Aminah Maimunah Iskandaria conveyed their season's greetings yesterday through a special message posted on social media. In the message, Al-Sultan Abdullah and Tunku Azizah also wished for the festive season to bring peace, prosperity, goodwill and happiness to all. Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad also conveyed his wishes to all Christians from himself and his wife, Tun Dr. Siti Hasmah Muhammad Ali. In a video message uploaded on his Twitter account, the Premier was seen writing a note on a Christmas card.
To all Christians in Malaysia, both citizens and non-citizens, I and my wife would like to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you.
His deputy, Datuk Sri Dr. Wan Azizah Wan Ismail, also shared a message that Christmas and the New Year was a season of hope, forgiveness and peace. She posted a video on Instagram which showed her Energy, Science, Technology, Environment and Climate Change Minister Yeo Bee Yin, International Trade and Industry Minister Dato' Ignatius Darrell Liking and former world #1 squash champion Dato' Nicole and David, bringing Christmas cheer to old folks at Rumah Seri Kenangan in Cheras.
Selamat Hari Natal dan Tahun Baru.
Moving on, an unpleasant smell that suddenly hit the residents around Batu Empat in Montenegrin Island early this morning was due to chemical substance dumped into a stream in the area, which had flown into Sungai Temiang. It was understood that traces of an oil spill and some dead fish in the river were discovered in the water and reported by members of the public at 5 a.m. Negeri Sembilan Fire and Rescue Department Operation Assistant Director Ahmad Mukhlis Mokhtar said a team of 6 personnel arrived at the scene half an hour later and found that the water pH scale level was at 5.8, which was acidic. Water samples have also been brought to the Department of Environment DOE's laboratory to be analysed.
Kita pun telah menyelidik dan kita buat siasatan awal ada tindakan membuang di jalan di sisi jalan tu telah ada dibuang bahan kimia yang masih dalam siasatan apa benda.
Siasatan ataupun pemantauan awal mendapati bahawa kemungkinannya memang sisa kemungkinannya lah memang sisa buangan terjadual lah. Cuma untuk pengesahan tu kami perlu confirmation melalui analisa kimia. Dan agensi-agensi lain serta pihak berkuasa negeri telah pun dimaklumkan lah untuk masing-masing mengambil tindakan juga untuk mengelakkan daripada buangan ini mengalir masuklah ke kawasan pemprosesan air minuman.
Following the discovery, a hazardous materials management team HAZMAT were deployed to the site for chemical cleanup work. Authorities also assured that the situation is under control as the smell and water pH level have returned to normal. The work is currently underway. Still to come on 7Edition, a look at how Christmas is celebrated across the world. This and more after the break. Thanks for staying with us. Pope Francis ushered in Christmas celebrations for the world's 1.3 billion Catholics on Tuesday, saying the celebration of Jesus' birth reminded how God continues to love us all, even the worst of us. The Pope also emphasized unconditional love in a year that has seen him move to combat silence surrounding pedophilia in the Roman Catholic Church, which has been rocked by thousands of reports of sexual abuse by priests around the world and accusations of cover-ups by senior clergy. The Pope spoke to thousands of people during Christmas Eve Mass in St. Peter's Basilica at the Vatican. Among those taking part in the Mass were children chosen from countries including Venezuela, Iraq and Uganda.
Puoi avere idee sbagliate, puoi averne combinate di tutti i colori, ma il Signore non rinuncia a volerti bene. Quante volte pensiamo che Dio è buono se noi siamo buoni e che ci castiga se noi siamo cattivi. Non è così.
Earlier this month, Pope Francis removed a pontifical secrecy rule, which critics said prevented priests and victims from reporting abuse, and in May passed a landmark measure to oblige those who know about sex abuse to report it to their superiors. Pope Francis will return to St. Peter's Basilica later on Christmas Day to deliver the traditional papal message to the world at noon. Christmas turned to chaos for millions of holiday observers in the central Philippines as Typhoon Mangkhut destroyed homes, cut off power and stranded travelers on Wednesday. Over 4,000 people have been evacuated, but luckily no deaths have been reported. Rescuers, however, said they have yet to reach the more isolated areas, some in neck-deep floods. Meanwhile, about 20,000 passengers remained stranded at ports on Christmas Day, while at least 60 domestic flights were cancelled. Though weaker, Phanphone was tracking a similar path as Super Typhoon Haiyan, the country's deadliest cyclone on record, which left more than 7,300 people dead or missing in 2013. Phanphone is expected to exit the country on Thursday. The Philippines is the first major landmass facing the Pacific cyclone belt. As such, the archipelago gets hit by an average of 20 storms and typhoons each year, killing scores of people and wiping out harvests, homes and other infrastructure and keeping millions perennially poor.
In Hong Kong, chaos broke out in an upscale shopping center after thousands of pro-democracy protesters planned a series of Christmas Eve demonstrations. The evening's unrest was the most sustained in what has otherwise been a few weeks of comparative calm for a city upended by more than 6 months of violent protests.
Now let's hop on to Clickbait, where we take a look at what's trending and making the rounds in the cyber world today. The end of a decade is just around the corner, marking a new beginning for many. Now, a Malaysian couple decided that they would welcome the new year with a clean fridge. A little spring cleaning is always a good idea, but what the couple discovered in the fridge has shocked thousands of netizens. Take a look. In the post uploaded on Twitter by the husband, he shared 2 pictures of the fridge cleaning process and his wife's shocking discovery. It was a pack of green beans that expired in the year 1999. Yes, you heard it right, a decade ago. The post has garnered at least 22,000 retweets and over 19,000 likes. Netizens found this discovery fascinating, with some even saying they were born that year. Another netizen even shared that her mother was using a flavouring that expired back in 1984 and they only noticed the expiry date in 2017. Meanwhile, others said that if they were to clean that fridge, they would have thrown the entire fridge away. Fridges, being the incredibly convenient devices they are, often tend to get cluttered with food items we may have meant to consume but somehow forgot about. It's important to periodically clean out your fridge to make sure these items don't begin to go bad and stink up the whole place. Now updated as of 7 p.m, here are the top trending topics and searches on the internet today. When we return, Usain Bolt's back on the track in Tokyo 2020 Stadium opening. Don't go away. Welcome back. In this week's Corporate Kings segment, we take a look at how a king trains his prince to take over his kingdom. Paramount Corporation Berhad is celebrating its 50th anniversary this year, and at its helm is the group's chairman and executive director, Datuk Teo Chiang Kwan. Property development has been the family business since his grandfather's time, and now he is grooming his son to one day take over from him.
A few years ago, Datuk Teo had a heart-to-heart with his son, Benjamin Teo Jong Hian, who had decided to join the family business after he graduated from university. Today, Benjamin is the CEO at Paramount Property Development, a key division of the group. We asked Datuk Teo on how he sees his relationship with his son at work.
The word love is so important. The love between him and myself is always so apparent. And people also can feel it. For short, it's Papalian. And I want to say he has developed quite nicely to where he is. One day, of course, he will be at the helm of the company. I would like that to happen too, but not so much in a rush. I do have some tension in that because it's never easy to see my son having to apply himself a lot in the businesses, and therefore there may be even sacrifices along the way, like where is he going to have work-life balance? Yeah, I know because I had my early days in the family business. I even had 7 days of working non-stop.
Apart from making space for his son, Datuk Teo also believes in meritocracy at work and in hiring professionals to fill his rank. He also doesn't believe in the old matrix of measuring productivity by how punctual one is at work. Instead, it's about delivering results.
I think those metrics are more very applicable. The new matrix is, I think it is also knowing where is the team spirit. There's no such thing as an individual person coming out with all the successes. It's that team spirit. And we know for sure measuring that also is very tough. But what we can say is based on the property division, we measure them by the number of launches, the units sold, the customer survey, and there's a benchmark. We don't like to see a product that receives a certain score that is below the benchmark.
This brand new office is also part of the group's foray into something different, a co-working space business under the brand Collabs Working.
There are 4 main centers under the brand called Collabs Co-working. Yes, definitely make the one in Starling Mall a huge success. He will have to continue with bringing in more tenants or individuals or startups into his new co-working space. But he also has this other important strategy that he wants to also have enterprises coming in to operate in a co-working space. For example, banks, instead of now wanting to pay for renovation, air conditioning and so forth, they just take up a space, and that's the rule of the game.
Moving forward, Datuk Teo is hopeful and believes that the future is bright for the Paramount Group as it continues to innovate itself.
Usain Bolt may not be competing at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, but he took a star turn in the inauguration of the newly completed National Stadium recently. The stadium was inaugurated in a star-studded event 7 months before the opening ceremony, with Bolt lacing up his spikes again to test out the brand new track. The show opened with a performance of taiko drums that instantly brought to mind the Rugby World Cup, as well as music and cultural performances before Bolt took centre stage. The 8-time Olympic gold medalist drew the biggest cheers of the evening as he ran in the 4-team 200 metres around the track in an exhibition relay race alongside Paralympic athletes in the first public event at the 60,000-seater stadium. The Jamaican sprint superstars team came in third, despite the presence of the fastest sprinter in history.
It was a great experience actually being here, running in front of so many people. I was happy and excited because I won't be getting to compete at the Olympics.
The stadium, built on the ground of the 1964 Olympic Stadium, will play host to the opening and closing ceremonies at the 2020 Olympics, as well as the flagship athletic events. It was designed by renowned architect Kengo Kuma, and the total construction cost, including design and supervising fees, came to $1.45 billion. The first sporting event to be held at the National Stadium will be the Emperor's Cup football final on January 1st. Celebrating Christmas on a hot sunny day in Sydney, beachgoers were met with Christmas trees in the sand and lifeguards in Santa hats at Bondi Beach. Visuals of this fun and sunny Christmas wraps up 7 Edition tonight. I'm Shafika Razali. Thanks for watching. Merry Christmas and have a good night.